beautiful.
Today we're going to talk about study habits.
Study habits, how to be effective in school and how to succeed.
Exactly. So mainly I'm sure you have the no procrastination thing down, right? Right, Jamie? No procrastination?
We are all guilty of procrastinating, and for those of you who don't know what procrastinating is, it's basically when you put off something that you know you should get started on because the deadline is coming up soon, but you're just always pushing it to the side because in your mind it's, oh, well, I'll get it done.
Yeah, the project.
Always have time.
Yeah.
That project your professor gave you a month for a reason, and you want to start the night before. I've done it.
And then eventually it's the night before and you're working on a 50-page term paper.
On an orange juice high.
The story of my life, guys. Don't be like me. Don't be
do
like
that.
me.
That was crazy.
And also it doesn't help for exams too, because even if you don't cram every day, if you study a little by little each day, just a little bit, like say you're gonna read 10 pages and you stick to it, you'll find that you know more than your other classmates because the material just adds up, and you do need time to just let it set.
Yeah,
understand it. It's not overnight
it'll
process.
help. You'll retain the information more.
Much better.
And it's easier to do if you sleep because a lot of your memories, they
REM sleep.
yeah, REM sleep really does help with retaining everything that you learn. So cramming right before, procrastinating to just look over your notes right at the last second,
need a
it's
couple days to
not a
organize.
very effective method.
It's true. It's definitely true. My study habits actually didn't get better until recently, and I started, it's true. I would just read the book over. I'm really bad at math. Let me just clarify that. Really bad at it. Just because it takes me so long to think through the problems, and I'm just such a thorough person that if I don't understand why I'm doing something, it just doesn't happen. And I started reading the book, and I started doing the practice questions, because usually I skim right through that. I don't even know how I've gotten this far, because I just skimmed right through it. And I started doing the practice questions and redoing it over and over again. And now there's so much more available to you. You can get a YouTube teacher to show you how to do it. And my grades got, an A in stats, you guys. An A.
Round of applause. Get it? Round of applause.
What study habits did you learn to better, if any?
If any. I am the kind of learner where I have to write it down. I can't just see it. It doesn't work for me. So if it's math or chemistry or bio or something like that, then it's a process of doing the problem and doing the problem right, and then finding another problem and doing that same process over again so that my brain knows how to do it. Because people are like, well, look, here's the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, oh, that's great.
Yeah, no.
How'd you get that?
Perfect practice makes perfect.
So, yeah, I learned that in calculus because I was having the hardest time in calculus. And it wasn't that I couldn't do the problem, it was that I wasn't sure I was doing the problem right. So I would always change my answer at the last second. So my teacher was like, just trust yourself, you can do this. And I ended up making 100 on the final at the end because I was going to fail the class.
Good job!
Round of applause. Round of applause.
Good job!
Thank you.
That's really great.
I know.
My professor said the same thing. She said, you're not confident, but you're doing it right. I'm just like, no, I know this is wrong. And I ended up making a B in physics, but I'm so happy because that was one of math and science together in union. I'm great at science, but put math with my love, no. It just was not. I'm letting you know that was divine intervention.
That was you, man. It was all.
But it's true. A lot of people, they'll practice stuff. They don't think about their study habits and the things that they're practicing each day. And it's if you sit there and you're just watching someone else do the problem, and you happen to be a tactile learner, or you're watching someone's doing the problem and showing it, and you're a visual learner, and you can't see the problem. You do have to know what it is, what works for you. You definitely need to know what works for you. And there are exams online, just free quizzes to tell you what kind of learner you are. And if you practice something the wrong way repeatedly, That's why she said I had to practice it the right way. Because if you practice a math problem the wrong way, you get the wrong answers, don't stop there. Do that problem over. Even if you know what you did wrong, do that problem over until you get it right. Because if you practice something the correct way, you're going to keep doing it. But if you practice something the wrong way,
you're going to be doing it the wrong way all the time.
It becomes a habit.
Yeah.
It's a really bad habit.
It becomes a habit.
And habits are so hard to break, guys. Incredibly hard to break.
Yes.
So you want to start off on the right foot. And for me, one thing that works for me is to be extremely organized. And I say extremely organized by writing, like as Jamie said, writing things down and writing it down in an agenda book of some type. And I have tons of agenda books. Tons. I think I literally have 4 because I know nowadays people keep track of their schedule digitally, so they have it in their phones and whatnot.
But it's different.
It's different. Yeah, it's different. Like I just get satisfaction in knowing that I can cross off something on my to-do list, and so
it's true. It makes you feel like I did do something
it
today.
gives you a sense of accomplishment, and so I would highly suggest, like if you have an assignment due on this date, write it down in your agenda book.
Or get a calendar.
Yeah, get a calendar and make sure
And
you
even
keep track of
if it's
it.
a big project, this is one thing that I think it gets us, because we're like, oh, that project's due 2 months later, like at the end of the semester, or the end of the term. One thing we have to remember is that just because it's one bulk project, it doesn't mean that there's only one part. So you might want to, okay, this is the due date, but I'm going to do my research 2 weeks in advance or 3 weeks in advance. Or I'm going to start reading early, especially if I love people who have their end of semester project or their end of semester last grade or something is a book review. It has to do with like a book, and they never read the book, and the book's 300 pages, and the paper is due the next day, and then
have notes.
the kind of books we have to read, sweetie.
Wikipedia.
And so, really, I mean, there are ways to get around it, because I am a procrastinator at heart. I do not suggest it, especially when it's a compare and contrast of multiple pieces of literature that you're supposed to have read throughout the semester.
It's very true. It's very true. You can't Cliff Notes college. Well, not the latter 2 years, but the first 2 years, maybe.
There's hope.
There's hope.
But the temptation is real. The temptation is real.
It is. Don't
must
watch
resist.
the movie for the book. Don't do that to your life. Just no. I think there's only one book you can get away with watching the movie, and that's The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings. That's the only one. The movie's nearly a mirror image of the book, down to the quotes. But that's it. And maybe To Kill a Mockingbird. How to Kill a Mockingbird. To Kill a
I've
Mockingbird.
never seen that movie.
Yeah,
But the book
it's
is
similar.
It
It's
was
similar.
very similar.
Okay.
But
Very similar.
It wasn't completely the same.
Woo, Radley!
That's where I learned the word assuage. I don't know how to say
A sausage?
it. No, it's assuage. It's in the very first page. I read the first page like 7 times because I was so bored.
As you may or may not be able to tell, someone in this group is hungry. It's always
Okay, so let's talk about prioritizing.
Food,
Yes.
food, and then studying. Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, when prioritizing, she means knowing what you're doing in advance and knowing the order of things. Like if you have an English paper that's due in a week and your math paper is due in 3 days, and you're just like, you know what, I'm going to start that English paper. No. Just don't do it to yourself. Even though you don't like it, try to do things in the order they need to be done. Like you wouldn't get dressed and then put on your underwear. There's an order, there's a reason that there's a reason you do it in that sequence.
Yeah. Or if you have something due the next day, an assignment due, and your friends are asking you to hang out. Well, know what's more important. School is going to be more important. School is what's going to get you somewhere.
Definitely.
And that's how you're going to succeed in life. And that's how you're going to get to better places with education. And so
It opens doors for you.
Yeah, you can always hang out with your friends on the weekends when you know there's not gonna be anything due. So take care of what's important.
Even in class. That class clown. Oh man, I had one sitting right next to me, and he just wanted to tell me jokes the whole time, and I'm just like, shh, the math teacher is speaking, because that's my difficult class. I was like, I still love you, but just wait. And he just looked at me in all seriousness, because I had that serious face, like, no, I really need to learn. I'm bad at this. You make A's on all the exams. I have to work for those A's. Like, so yeah, don't let someone else put you in a position where it's causing you to put your education take your education for granted because maybe they're good at the class, or maybe they just don't care about the class.
Yeah,
that happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen both. People who are really good at the class, taking the class for granted, and people who just aren't interested in the class, taking it for granted and trying to disturb the other people around it. I can't laugh. I'm laughing too hard. Okay, so we're gonna break it down for you in one quick session of study habits. Don't procrastinate.
Try to read before class.
Definitely.
Prioritize.
Definitely prioritize. Know when to move, or don't let people disturb you from what you're taking seriously. That's definite.
Yeah. Practice makes perfect.
Perfect practice makes perfect.
Know how to manage time.
Time management.
Yeah, know how to manage time.
Write down your due dates. Write down your life events.
Reading the syllabus beforehand.
Always keep track of your syllabi. I know so many people that just throw their syllabi away or lose them right after they get them.
Shame.
I've gotten better.
So just try to keep. That's really, really important. Keep track of your syllabi because that's actually considered a contract between you and your teacher. So keep your syllabi. Some professors are tricky. I had teachers in high school that would not tell you when things were due, but it was in the syllabus.
Hashtag the worst.
The worst.
So make sure you know if it's due dates in there, like there's a table of this is due, that is due, this is due, that is due. Write it down, put it in your phone, make a reminder because they will get you every time.
There genuinely are some professors like that. I've definitely walked in class and they were like, oh, where's the paper? And I was just like, no. You see what had happened was my computer broke down. And I wanted to ask you if I could turn it in. And
Hashtag the worst.
I've gotten better. I've
woke up
gotten
like
better. I woke up like this.
Hashtag got this. Anyway.
But it is true. Some professors won't tell you. Some professors are really, really nice, but some they're
sticklers.
They're
sticklers.
They're sticklers, but it teaches you a lesson. It teaches you to be responsible. It teaches you to really have to dedicate yourself to something, and you have to. It's a growing pains.
Mm-hmm.
It's growing pains.
And even
we don't like it. But when we get older, we're like, man, I'm so happy Mr. Such and Such told me that I had to do this on time because
they could have waited.
It's helping me out with my job.
Yeah, because usually it's
there's a deadline.
Yeah, because some professors don't even give you a syllabus.
Yeah.
And then they tell you 2 weeks in advance, by the way.
Yeah, I had a teacher like that. I had a teacher like that. He would change due dates on us in high school. It was AP Bio, which is not a class that you want to be taking and not know when things are due or not know when you're having a test or quiz. He would tell us the class before that the quiz was 2 weeks later, and next class period he's trying to give us a quiz on the wrong chapter. We didn't even learn that chapter yet.
I had that happen to me. That happened to me too. And I was just like, we didn't go over this. And some professors, yes, please read your book. Listen, believe her when she said some professors will test you on things they never even went over because the book is fair game to some. But I mean, there's so much available to you now. There's Rate My Professor, Grade My Teacher. There are YouTube. There's a Grade My Teacher. There are YouTube channels that help you learn stuff if you can't. You put in the problem. And they teach you how to do that problem or something similar to it. You have so many resources aside from Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So many. And
Wikipedia is not the best resource, guys.
Yeah.
If you want to use Wikipedia, use the sources that Wikipedia
references.
Yeah, the references. Look at the references and then go to those references. Don't use Wikipedia.
Don't ever cite Wikipedia because you might get points taken off.
For citing, you definitely.
For citing.com.
Yeah.
For citing.coms. Typically .coms. .orgs are good. .org. .net.
if anything, that you really want to use primary sources.
True.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
Yes.
Sounds good.
I think
We want to wish you guys the best of luck for this school year. I hope that these tips have helped you out because we really want you guys to be successful.
Yeah.
So,
You don't have to make the mistakes I made.
yeah, don't make
So
the same
many.
mistakes we've made.
Appreciate that
learn.
syllabus.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
learn.
definitely.
Mhm.
Definitely. So, like, love, sub, share,
Yes, please share.
and we'll see you next week.
Ah!